we broke off because the conversation was so good. We broke off talking about cultural issues for African Americans. We left off talking about private prisons and how that's modern day slave labor. There's a book by Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crow. That's a very good read. And there's also a Netflix documentary called 13 that everybody needs to watch, no matter what race you are. It'll tell you about how private prisons and slave labor, are benefiting a lot of corporate entities that, they're not hurting for money. They get tax shelters and all this other stuff. Not necessarily tax shelters, but they get tax cuts. And they're uber rich anyway, where, that needs to kind of fall back to the people. But when you have lobbyists and all this stuff, and, who lobby Congress and say, hey, we'll contribute to your campaign if you give us this amount. We'll give you this amount of money if you do this favor for us. So what happens is those people wind up doing what the corporations want them to do. And the private prison thing is one reason why they do it. Some celebrities are actually investing in it too. So it's just investing in modern day slave labor. Wow.
What did you say the name of that second book was? 13? No, it's a
No,
Netflix documentary.
the Netflix documentary is called 13th. That's short for 13th Amendment.
And the Michelle Alexander book.
Yeah, that's The New Jim Crow. Yeah, because you can get up on it. Like, if you read the book and if you watch the documentary, no matter who you are, you see how that hurts everybody. Because because jobs is the main thing, right? Unemployment and everything else, and you're giving these jobs with major companies. They're getting labor for free, basically. They're paying the prison off, but all the prison doing is feeding them and everything. And they charge the prisoners exorbitant rates at the commissary. If they get regular stuff, we can go to the Dollar Tree and they paying an exorbitant amount for snacks and all that. And then in turn you create a certain prison economy where they barter for stuff like that. Things can get violent. Culture creates culture.
Right.
At the end of the day.
So our African American males, as Nikki talked about the last time, really listen to this, so they could go in the store and steal a pack of potato chips and end up doing
some serious time.
Yeah.
I do want to reiterate that private prisons, I don't think they're not in North Carolina now, but they're trying to privatize the school system. No telling what they're trying to privatize. Later. Yeah. So it could be coming.
Yeah. Wow. True that. Well, what it makes me think about is what happens before they even get to prison. Like, what's going on in our communities that's making it so that there's such this, sense for them to get in trouble, or I don't know what it is motivating them to get in the trouble that they're getting in to even end up going to prison. But since we're talking about culture, it makes me think about our music and the dynamic of hip hop. So what it is today, it wasn't in my day. And I'm not saying that they didn't have racy lyrics and stuff, but I'm talking about shoot 'em up, doing drugs, sleeping with everybody, just different things like that. And it's like this lifestyle is glorified, even though the people that's actually rapping it don't live like that. Now, not all of them.
Yeah. So that's starting to change. Some of them live because those are the kids who actually heard the original form of it and decided to live. It's like, but life imitates art, imitates life.
Right.
Yeah, that type of thing. Being that I rap since I was 12, and I've seen this whole thing change. I've seen it evolve. Well, I say devolve because I think it's going backwards personally. And I think a lot of the onus of that is put on the artists. But artists in the music industry have no power at all. You have going back to corporations again. You can always find the breadcrumbs, always go back to a corporation on some level. They're the ones who are marketing and selling this stuff.
Yeah.
If they say we want to suit entire rap, or we want to rap about family values, we want to rap about building up the community, you think these cats will be rapping about that? That's exactly what they would do. It's a very corporate thing.
Right.
So that's, if you have to put the onus back on the record companies, because if they say, you know what, we're not going to deal with this, nobody will.
We were in an event a couple of weeks or month or so ago where we had Black Duchess from Black Ink, or Duchess from Black Ink. There you go. And she was basically saying that TV is TV, that's not really real.
Right.
And that, the reason why they're doing that is because they want to present our race as if it is this certain way. But my thing is, and this is not to condemn you for trying to make your money, because everybody wants to survive and make their money.
Correct.
At what cost are we willing to sell out our culture And that's the thing. That's why when these black rappers, they get up there and they say all of this stuff and they do all of this stuff, but they don't live it. Like, prime example, Nelly. Because I heard, Rocky Lynn is over here. He's a country singer, and he met Nelly. He was just like the most gentleman, the biggest gentleman you'll ever want to meet. And they live that lifestyle, but it's because, first of all, you're talking about survival. You're talking about fame. All the things that most of us want, they have it. But at what cost?
Yeah.
Because it's not just you famous and you can take care of yourself and, everybody loves you. But now you got all of these kids following behind you thinking that that's the life to live.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest sellout.
Yeah.
And then you put everybody down that doesn't have what you have, which is most people. So you're basically talking down on your fan base. Period.
Yeah.
And they cool with it though. You
right.
Call them whatever you broke,
whatever.
Maybe
in the audience.
Talk
about me.
Buying the records.
If anything, I'm trying to pull you up.
Right. Right.
And money doesn't make you happy, so I ain't necessarily trying to pull you up to be rich, but I'm trying to pull you up to pursue whatever it is that's going to make you happy, or just to be happy.
What about the neighborhood? When you were saying that, and then just like everything, all I kept hearing was when you went back and you said neighborhood, it's not the same as it was, because back in the day, if you got in trouble down the street, somebody might have heard between the time you left that house to get to your house, and an aunt or grandma or an older person sitting on the porch, I saw y'all, so, you getting fussed at as you walking past this person's house. And then when you got home, whenever your parents got home or when they heard about it and they got the real story, you got in trouble again. We don't have that village mentality anymore. And with the males being in prison, you don't have the daddies in the home to enforce the punishment. You got the mothers working 2 and 3 jobs, if they're working at all, trying to keep things together. So if we had that old sense of neighborhood back, the old sense of community back, I think a lot of the problems that we see in our culture, I think a lot of them would disappear. But we don't have that. I'm gonna take care of your kids and your kids and your kids because y'all's kids and my kids.
Like, don't say anything to my kids.
Now you got, why you saying something to my baby? Right. Why you doing this? He didn't do that. He didn't do. And it's like, no. Your baby is not the angel you think he is, because trust, he not the angel at the house you're trying to conceal. So why wouldn't you think he acts this way when he's away from you? We don't have that anymore.
It still takes a village.
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out what happened that we lost that. What happened to the genuine love that we have for each other? It's not so much a black pride thing, but where's our black pride?
Right.
Yeah.
Why are we letting other people in schools and television and social media raise our children, and then when we get the product back, we don't like it, and we're trying to get rid of it?
Exactly.
Who does that? I mean, but who does that? But I'm like, we're throwing our kids.
That's Mama Bear.
We're throwing our kids away, and it's like, then when we get them, it's a problem, and when the police gets involved in, again, it's all a full circle. And I wish there was a way that we could just stop the thing from turning, look at it, and be like, this is the problem, let's fix it. But we keep adding to it.
A lot of another cultural issue that I see is a lot of the girls or young girls or whatever, women too, are having these kids. And then a lot of times they're not raising their kids. Sometimes, I mean, you see different people raising their kids. You see them staying with aunts, uncles, grandmothers. And I have to tell you, my mom, I mean, I wasn't young when I had my kids, but she was like, you're going to raise your child.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't keep my kids a lot. My children, I have to say children. That lady told me to say children. Yeah. She didn't keep my children a lot. And it wasn't that she didn't love them, but she wanted me to raise my children. Right. But I see so many children with their grandmothers, and don't you know kids know that? They feel that. Yes. Okay, why my grandma raising me? Why my aunt raising me? Where's my mother? And they feel that they're not getting the love from their parents. And I guarantee you they're acting out because they don't feel that love. Grandma's okay. Grandma loves me. Grandma takes care of me and my 3 or 4 brothers and sisters. But where's my mama?
Yes.
You know, I want my mama. And I think they act out on a lot of that stuff. Yeah. And they get in trouble. They do petty things for attention.
Yes.
You know?
Another thing that's more common in our community is the absence of more mothers. It used to just be like a rarity. Yeah. But now, and I'm starting to see the effect of absentee mothers on boys. You know, you always think about absentee fathers, you know, being out or whatever. But I'm seeing the effect of mothers, and it can actually be worse, especially on a guy. You know what I mean? Because if you have a deep-seated disdain for females, it's going to come out in your relationships and everything. If you have kids, you know, if you participate in sexual activity, eventually you'll have kids if you're not protecting yourself, and it may come out in how you treat your daughters as well. And that's just poisoning the culture even more. It's crazy.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that there is a rise of absentee mothers?
I can go back to, you know, hip hop culture, you know, the things that are promoted as pop. And I can't say that solely. It's got to be something deeper than that. But another thing too, I think there's a lack of wisdom. Like grandmothers are like young, you know what I mean?
That's true.
And I'm not saying some of those grandmothers who are young whenever they become grandmothers are wise, but it's less likely to happen if you're younger. I remember you think about your grandmother, your great grandmother. It's like that was just wisdom.
Right.
Now it's getting younger and younger, and they partying with their daughters and all kinds of stuff. So it's of course it's going to degrade.
And it's not so much that them being absent; it's them not being a mother. And a lot more parents are trying to be friends with because they're almost the same age. You know, I was listening to, I think, the Steve Harvey show. One guy was saying he went out partying with his mom, and he had to leave his mother because his mother was acting a way that he didn't approve of. And I was just like, wow, you know, that's an example for that child, that his mother, you know, that's an example of a mother. And he was embarrassed. He was basically embarrassed at the way that she acted. And I think he said she was 42 or something like that. I mean, she's my age, you know, of course I don't party or anything, but I'm like, wow, you know, if he had children, that means those children, I was like, wow, she's a grandmother and a mother out partying with her son, and he was embarrassed. You know, that's his view of a woman. You know, and like you said, it could come out in how he treats.
Any woman he comes in contact with, and by virtue of his daughters as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not a psychologist, but the one thing that I've observed over time is that, you know, we all grow in these stages, and I always have to like build up to what it is that I'm saying. But anyway, you know, when we are, and I think this is why some of this is happening, when we are young, and I'm going to say, you know, from babies on up to 18, 25 even, that there is this stage that we go through, and we don't know as much as we think that we know. We know we might be learning some stuff, but we don't know as much as we think that we know. And so wisdom is like, I think it was so important that you pointed out the fact, you know, that we need wisdom. Wisdom is not something that we're interested in. We already think that we know it all. We already think that, you know, people tell us you're mature for your age, but you have no idea that you're really not as mature as you think you are. And so then you go on to your next stage when you're growing up, you're learning, you're kind of growing into who you are, discovering yourself, you know, stuff like that. Well, in that stage, then you kind of look back on some of those stupid things like, you know, well, maybe I didn't know as much as I thought that I knew. But the problem is, because we've had kids in this stage where we think we know it all, then it's like nobody can tell us anything, and they can't tell us nothing about our kids either. Whereas when it used to be, now I'm not gonna say it used to be, because actually years ago they were still having babies young and younger. But you know, when you wait, or when you're mature enough, it's just kind of like now you understand the need for that community and that, you know, people helping you with your kids. But they're just kind of like in this mode though, where that I'm gonna say up to 25 and sometimes later than that, we mature so slowly because it's like we feel like we missed out on something. And I put myself on Front Street. When I was like 15, I really was in the church in a major way. And I mean, from high school, I would go to high school, I would be witnessing to people at tables, at the lunchroom. I was like so serious about God that I'm like telling people, Jesus is gonna come back, y'all better get y'all's life right. And it was just, and I'm not saying that I'm not serious about him now, it was just an immature zeal that I had when I was coming up. So and people would always tell me, you are so mature for your age. And so I lost a lot of time just enjoying and being who I was. I was just being who I thought God wanted me to be, when in essence I was actually being who people wanted me to be, people who people said God wanted me to be. And so I lost a whole lot of that time in there. So I'm married at 20, and I'm raising my children the best that I know how, but there's a lot of immaturity still in there. Still trying to figure out how to do this thing. And every now and again, that mama bear would pop up in me, but I'm still from the old school where I'm like, okay, so these folks over here, are concerned about my kid, y'all need to listen to these adults, but at the same time, I'm still lacking in these places of being able to be the mom that I'm supposed to be. I'm trying the best I can, but then I don't necessarily have it. Whereas now, I've got a wisdom that I didn't have back then. But see, now my kids are almost grown, you know, so I'm still, I think that at the end of the day, we have to realize, and if we have this grace for other people, that people are people, and that we are all growing, we are all a work in progress, and if we could just spread that out amongst all of us, that at the end of the day, love, it is love that is what is going to be the answer for all of these situations. Yeah, right. And let's stop, you know, trying to fight with your neighbor because your neighbor trying to get on your child. They need to get on your child.
That's right. That's right.
You can learn from anybody, even if the neighbor's not doing it, not practicing what they're preaching. Because how many times have you not practiced what you preach to me?
Right. Absolutely.
You know, do as I say and not as I do. You got to be the best of them. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you can learn from anybody. And I don't allow, you know, and I don't, you know, condone any of my kids talking to I don't care what background this grown up comes from. You just don't talk to grown ups any kind of way.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
You know.
Absolutely.
I don't play that.
This lady came up to me to correct me the other day. I was speaking at an event, and she came up to me. She said, "Baby, you are so beautiful. I enjoyed your entire presentation." Da, da, da. And she was like, "But your children, call them children. Don't call them kids." She corrected me right then and there, and she said, a kid is a goat. And I was like, okay. You know, and we have to learn to take that criticism, and we have to teach our children how to be able to take that too. Because I don't want my children to walk around, so I'm getting their children to walk around thinking adults can't tell them what to do because they're not your parent.
Right.
You know, if an adult comes up to you and tells you to do something, you do what they tell you to do. Just like you said, you listen to them, you respect them. You know, even if you don't agree with what they're saying, yes, ma'am. Yes,
sometimes even when they're wrong, like with my oldest son is 19, but he lives on his own. So that's he's on his own in Texas. That's basically a man. He can do what he want to do. You know what I mean? But my youngest son, Keely, I'm going to handle an adult who's out of line. You're not going to do that. You're going to respect him, and then you're going to report to me. As soon as you get into the realm to where you talking junk and you cussing them out, I don't have a problem with them no more. I got a problem with you.
That's right. That's right.
I think that's missing too, because you know, working in the school system, it's always that teacher. Well, I am that teacher, and I see it from the inside.
Yeah,
I know how they go. You know what I mean? And you know, and somebody said something earlier. You know your child.
That's right. Exactly right.
You know, you being willfully ignorant because they talk junk to you.
Yes.
You know, so don't try to. You know, they ain't gonna talk junk to me. You can hang that up.
I tell people all the time, they say your kids. I'm like, look, don't put them on a pedestal. I know who their mama and their daddy are. I know what they've been through and know what they're capable of. Yeah. Just because they don't act out like yours do, don't do that. Because I know them. Don't do that. Don't do that. I love them and I know them. And I tell people to be careful. Don't put your own kids on a pedestal because you get all the egg in your face.
My mother lived by that. She
that.
said, I will never put my children on a pedestal. And she told me, Felina, because we had so many problems having children, and she said, you know, when you do have children, don't ever put your children up on a pedestal and say what they won't do. Right. They'll prove you wrong.
They'll fall.
They will prove you wrong.
Okay. My mom was like that too, because I was the type of kid, I didn't get in trouble in school anywhere. I didn't get in trouble. Now, I did things, but I did things. I was like a ninja. Yeah, I did bad stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I would do bad stuff, and the teachers would be like, "He didn't do that." You know what I mean? Like, straight up, that's how good I was at. So, you know, I did have some mischief in my life. But I remember one of my homeboys, I'm not gonna say his name, but you know who y'all. We were in Roses. This is back when Roses was over there where JR's used to be. And he had some money, and he had like $30. This is like in 91 or something like that. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, the dollar wasn't inflated like it is now. But he had some money, and then I remember the plainclothes guy came and grabbed him, and he came around on the other island, got me, and I was like, yo, he put his hand. I was like, yo, you know, like, what are you touching me for? He said he was stealing bear. I said, yeah, you said he's stealing bear. You know, I said, Chuck, you got money? Show him your money. He said, no, it don't matter if you got money. He put it in his pocket. That's unlawful concealment. You know, that's when I learned then I need to learn law. You know what I mean? Because even though you got money, if you got it concealed, that's a law as well that you broke. And we went in. I said, I'll go back there with you or whatever, but you know, I wasn't taking anything. So you can't say, you know, you trying to say that we were partners. So I wound up calling my father.
Tune in next week week for the continuation of this Statesville's Vanguard show. If you'd like to be a sponsor, give us a call at 704-500-1603.